Hey guys, so today we'll be going over the Ontario Rat 1 folding knife, also known as the OKC Rat 1 by Ontario Knife Company. This version is in AUS 8 steel. I got mine from the Knife Center for $45 Canadian, which is about $35 USD shipped. This is also a fairly popular knife. People have been recommending this for many years now. This is a really good knife. People like Nick Shabazz stated that this is a really nice knife to have in your pocket. So I decided to get this and test it out. And so today I'll be getting into the things that you need to know, like the good and the bad, as well as the specs. So let's get right into it. So as a person who always reads good reviews and bad reviews before buying an item, as well as watching countless YouTube videos to see if I was getting something worth it or not, I always check the quote-unquote worst experiences ever that were written by people to see what the worst possible outcome that happened to some people. And when I read someone's review a few weeks ago and it said it broke one day in or whatever, I knew that it was most likely they didn't know how to operate it and broke it by themselves, or that it was just actual crap and bad quality and it broke legit the first day. And when I checked the reviews about the Rat 1, I couldn't find any negative reviews. All I could find were 5-star reviews like this guy who says it's a good deal and a good knife, or like this person writing about how well the knife was built, or even this dude who says it's a good knife for its price, and also this person. In addition to that, other versions also have many positive feedback, and yes, I checked and they were all different reviews. So I decided to get this knife to see if people are overrating it or not, which I can tell you right now that it's definitely not. This knife has all of it for only $45. Great ergonomics, a smooth action, really good price, and also a smaller copy for smaller hands, the OKC Rat 2. It also has a decent steel, which is AUS 8. And you can also find reviews from other knife YouTubers if you want to see the actual knife in detail. Just type in Ontario Rat 1 review on the search bar on YouTube, and many videos from content creators like Nick Shabazz, for instance, or Cedric and Ada Outdoors, or even Metal Complex. Many videos will show up, and most of the YouTubers will probably explain how great of a knife this is. I mean, like, come on now. If Nick Shabazz says a knife is good, then you know it's great, am I right? Anyways, before we get any deeper into the video, here are the dimensions. Here is the blade length, also the cutting edge. Blade length coming in at 3.62 inches with a cutting edge of 3.25 inches. Here's the handle length, 5 inches. And the overall length of this knife is coming in at 8.62 inches. And here's also the handle thickness. And of course the blade thickness, which in my opinion is pretty thick, getting into the fixed blade styles. Also the height of this knife folded in your pocket. And finally, here is the weight of this knife, coming in at 4.9 ounces. Fairly heavy knife in my opinion. I probably wouldn't be carrying this every day because it's just a bit too heavy. I would go for the Ontario Rat 2, which is coming in at 2.75 ounces, which is much lighter than the Rat 1. Another thing I can appreciate is the action, which is really good. The action is so smooth and it helps you utilize the knife single-handedly, or take it out of your pocket, open it, and put it back in your pocket with only one hand and not taking your other hand off of your project. It also runs on 2 micro-thin Teflon washers as well as 2 phosphorus bronze washers. And the micro-thin Teflon washers give it its really smooth opening, which is really good. A few weeks ago when I opened this out of the box, it was already smooth and it almost dropped shut. After the span of 2 weeks opening and closing this knife over and over again, it's gotten much more smoother and the blade drops shut. This knife is also Taiwanese made, and if you flip the knife to the back, it says Taiwan written on the blade. And if I didn't tell you already, this knife is by Ontario Knife Company, and it's also a design by Jeff Randall. Another neat aspect of this knife is that it has a 4-way pocket clip, as you can see here, which you can carry tip up or tip down, left or right, which doesn't matter. It also comes with 3 Torx screws, which you need for you to install the clip, either on the bottom or the top, left or right, which is a really nice thing. You can also take the screws and the clip out if you don't want a clip. Here is the video of the knife in my pocket. I have the clip positioned in a tip-up carry, and as you can see, there is a bit of knife sticking out, probably an inch or so, but that's okay. I tried pushing it in further, but it didn't do anything. And at least the clip slides in and out of your pocket really easily without any pressure. And I recommend going tip up, mainly because you can just pull it out of your pocket really fast and deploy it really fast without fidgeting with it and like flipping it around or anything. But yeah, the clip is a really nice thing about this knife, because if you're a left-handed person or a right-handed person, you can use this knife however you want. It also has thumb studs on each side of the knife, left or right, so it's a really good ambidextrous knife overall. Ergonomics on this knife are also really great too. It fits my hand really well and it's super comfy, especially for being a big folder. It also has some jimping and a thumb ramp up here, which helps a lot with the grip, because the jimping bites back on your thumb when you're cutting stuff, preventing it from slipping. And then once we go to the scales, which are kind of the downsides, they're kind of smooth and they don't get that much texture. Compared to Spyderco's famous bidirectional texture on their lightweights, which has the same effect as the jimping on the top of the spine, which helps because the texture bites back on your hand and keeps your hand really secured on the handle. Unlike the scales on the Rat 1, which don't have that much texture and they're kind of smooth, so if it was rainy outside or if your hands were sweaty, then you might not get that much of a good grip compared to the bidirectional scales on the Spydercos. But we're lucky enough to have the G10 scales, sadly only on the assisted Rat 1, and currently not on the FRN scales, which is a shame, but hopefully they'll come out soon. Anyways, these scales also come in different versions of color. There is one in coyote brown, there's one in blue, orange, pink, and OD green, which is a bit darker than the foliage green scales, which I have right here. You can also get half serrated Rat 1s. And there's also a black coating blade, and this is the satin version, which I have right here, which is a bit cheaper. And if you're wondering why I didn't get the much lighter and smaller lightweight, which is the Ontario Rat 2, the reason I didn't get it was because it was just a bit more expensive than the Rat 1. So I just decided to save more money because I'm just cheap like that. But this knife was also on sale, so that's probably one of the main reasons why I got this. This knife also comes with a lanyard hole. It's drilled to the bottom of the handle, so if you're into those, you can just attach a lanyard to it. Now, next thing, in terms of blade steel, this knife is an AUS 8 stainless steel, which is a good steel, but of course not awesome compared to the premium steels like CPM M4 or S90V. And compared to the D2 version, the steel has less edge retention and doesn't hold its edge as great as the D2. And if you check Pete's video from Cedric and Ada Gear and Outdoors, he did a comparison between the two steels by cutting some rope to see which one lasts longer until they no longer cut some paper. And the results were 56 AUS 8 steel cuts to 120 cuts with the D2, which is almost double. But of course the two steels have their downsides and their upsides, and two of the downsides I can think of the D2 on the spot is that it chips easily and it's less corrosion resistant, and that's where the AUS 8 steel exceeds. Now the locking mechanism on the Rat 1 is just a simple liner lock where you can use the tab to just push aside and close the knife really easily. Now taking a look at the back here, as you can see it has 5 standoffs as well as 2 skeletonized stainless steel liners, which probably added a bit more weight. And if I were to change something about this knife, I would probably drill some holes in the liners just to take a bit of weight off of the knife. And as you can see here, I'm trying to squish these scales in, but it's really well constructed so it doesn't budge at all. And now is the slicing test, and as you can see, it cuts through paper really easily, and even a whole book if you want to cut a whole phone book or something. Or that's a bit too thick, but whatever. Now moving on to the negative and the nitpicks, of course the FRN plastic scales, which don't give that much of a great textured grip, but they do feel nice in your hand low-key. Another thing is the AUS 8 steel, which is kind of a nitpick because it's a decent steel for what you pay for. A good or great steel would probably increase the price really quickly, so this is probably a really good choice for you. There's also a D2 version, which would probably also be a good choice. Also, the liner lock is kind of hard to disengage, especially because it doesn't have a big cutout, meaning you have to push the small piece of liner sticking out with the top of your thumb, which kind of hurts. But evening it out, it's also handy when you get stuck in a cardboard box, like shown here. Alright, so final conclusions. First of all, I can finally conclude that the reviews were true, like the reviews written on the websites or even the ones on YouTube by YouTubers. Well, starting off of the good, this knife has great action, good ergonomics. It's ambidextrous, meaning anyone can use it, lefty or righty. It has a 4-way pocket clip, which is amazing because you can install it anywhere you want. It also has an amazing price, coming in at $45 Canadian, which is about 35 USD. And it also has a great construction. You can't squeeze these scales together, which is a really good thing. And with the bad, starting off with the non-grippy scales, which don't give that much grip, that's kind of the downsides for me. And an uncomfortable lock, which kind of hurts my thumb, like I said. Now, is there anything I would change? Of course, there's actually a few things to change that would probably not increase the price, like taking some of the weight off, or creating a smaller version with a lightweight and smaller size. Oh wait, the Rat 2. But actually, installing a deep carry clip would help a lot. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.